You think you can just ignore the rules because you don't like them. I demand you cease construction immediately.
We have the permits right here.
Karen was already on my porch when I opened the door, arms crossed, cold morning air biting my cheeks, bright orange violation notice in her hand like a traffic cone of doom. It was 6:12 a.m., the street still wet from sprinklers, and I could smell fresh asphalt from the road crew down the block. She waved the paper in my face. Another fine. This time for the small wooden ramp I built so my mom's wheelchair could roll over my front step. She said it ruined the aesthetic of the neighborhood, and if I didn't remove it by Friday, the HOA would start daily penalties. I remember my coffee going cold in my hand while my ears burned hotter than the rising sun. That was the morning I realized this wasn't just about a ramp. Karen was the HOA president, self-appointed queen of our cul-de-sac, and she loved rules more than actual people. She had already written me 11 complaints in 3 months, all over nonsense. A garden flag. Trash can placement. My truck parked 3 inches over some imaginary line. This is the story of how Karen trespassed onto the courthouse steps. I will call the cops, then I filed the permit, and how I finally used her favorite thing, paperwork, to take her crown away. At first, I thought I could talk to her like a normal human being. I was very wrong. I tried the polite route first. I showed up at the next HOA board meeting on May 3, 2024, wearing my one clean polo, hands shaking, heart pounding. The room smelled like burnt coffee and dry erase markers. I explained the ramp was for my mom, that I couldn't just yank it out. Karen stared at me like I'd tracked mud onto her white carpet. When I finished, she said the ramp was an unapproved structure and I was setting a bad example. The other board members kept their eyes on their papers. One neighbor tried to speak up for me, then glanced at Karen and sat back down. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call, she said into the minutes, reminding everyone she had once called the police because my brother checked on my house while I was at work. Something snapped inside me, quiet but solid. My line in the sand. I was done begging this woman for basic decency, but I promised myself I would stay inside the law. No yelling, no threats, no stupid stunts. Just rules. Her favorite weapon. So I went home, cleared my kitchen table, and started digging. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I wrote down every time she'd stood on my property to take pictures of my yard. I pulled my phone records to show how many times she called the non-emergency police line on me and on other neighbors. Then I learned something important from a friend who worked downtown: patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. That's when the real plan formed. I filed a public records request with the city about calls from Karen's address and our HOA number. When the clerk slid the folder across the counter, the file landed with 63 pages. 63 pages of her calling in a suspicious activity that was really kids on bikes, someone's uncle unloading tools, my mom being helped into her chair. I scanned every page and matched dates and times to security camera clips from my porch and my neighbors. It took 2 weeks, 3 packs of sticky notes, and one very patient printer, but by the end I could see Karen's pattern in big, ugly highlighter lines. The next step meant a trip to the county courthouse. The morning I went, the air was crisp, and the courthouse steps were still cold in the shade. People walked by with coffee and briefcases. I held my binder like armor. I wasn't just filing a harassment complaint and request for an investigation into the HOA. I was also filing a permit for a small community meeting on those same courthouse steps, so we could talk openly about HOA abuse. I was halfway up when I heard her voice behind me, sharp as a car alarm. "What do you think you're doing?" I turned and there she was, heels clicking on the stone, out of breath, face red. She stormed past the authorized personnel only sign on the side ramp, straight onto the restricted part of the steps, and pointed at me. "I will call the cops," she snapped, like she owned the building. People stopped to watch. A security guard near the metal detector raised an eyebrow. I kept my voice calm. "Go ahead," I said, "they're already here." I nodded toward the deputy standing by the door, the one the clerk had called when she saw Karen charge past the sign. The deputy walked over, asked us both for ID, then looked down at the sign she had ignored. "Ma'am, you can't be in this area without permission," he said. While she sputtered, I opened my binder and handed over the top packet. 11 complaint summaries. Then I slid the thicker stack forward. These are the records I pulled: calls, videos, and witness statements. I'm here to file them and a permit for a peaceful meeting out front. By then, people had their phones out. One teenage kid whispered, "This is going straight to TikTok." Another woman laughed when Karen tried to insist I was harassing her. The deputy flipped through the records, then looked at my videos of her walking onto my lawn at 9:00 p.m. to take close-up photos of my ramp. A county clerk peeked over the counter, eyes wide. When the deputy asked if anyone else had issues, two of my neighbors who came with me stepped forward. One said Karen had fined him $250 for parking a work van in his own driveway. Someone behind us muttered, "Oh, she's done." The best part was how official it became. The clerk stamped my complaint, then stamped my event permit application for the community meeting. Approved. The deputy escorted Karen off the restricted stairs while a small crowd watched. I heard one guy say, "Isn't she the one always calling the cops?" And someone else reply, "Yeah, now they're walking her down." That night, the video of her yelling "I will call the cops" while the deputy stood calmly beside me had over 27,000 views. In the comments, people from all over shared their own HOA horror stories. My favorite one said, "Never pick a paperwork fight with the neighbor who knows how to read." A month later, the city finished its review. The HOA received a formal notice of investigation and a warning about abuse of authority. Karen was removed as president after a special meeting. Enough neighbors finally felt safe to vote her out. The board had to roll back several fake fines, including all of mine, and they adopted a clear rule that any accessibility feature like a ramp was automatically allowed. Our community meeting on the courthouse steps went as planned, with actual permission this time and not a single angry heel stomp from Karen. My mom watched from her chair, wrapped in a blanket, smiling as kids drew chalk hearts on the sidewalk. A new neighbor handed me a cup of hot chocolate and said, "Thanks for standing up for us." Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.